If you've ever noticed slower growth or weaker buds after flipping the flower, this simple light adjustment can change everything. Hey, but before we get into that, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. All right, Hi C, let's get into this one. This one really blew my mind when I learned about it. I love sharing this bit of information with folks.
All right, this one also blew my mind once you explained it to me. And I was like, dude, how did I not understand that before?
Me as well. Me as well.
Okay, so I just flipped into flower.
Yes.
And I cut a third of my light hours off.
You went from 18 or 24 hours of light in veg to 12 hours of flowering. I don't know how I didn't understand this, but you have to dial up the lights, man. So I dial them up 50%.
Why do I have to dial up the lights?
Because you've got less light hours now. We've got the light. Remember the light, they call them photons. A ppfd is the amount of photons that are raining on the plant per day. Well, I just took, instead of having, I got a 24-hour day, I used to have 18 hours or 24 hours of light raindrops. Well, now I just shifted it down to 12 hours. It's only going to be raining for 12 hours a day.
So I got 3 or 4 hours less of raindrops, so I need to increase the intensity to make up for it.
Yeah, you got 6 to 12 hours.
And they call
less.
that DLI?
A DLI is just the maximum amount. Think of it like a cup, and then the amount of light raindrops that can fill that cup. And then after that, they just run over. Then it's a waste.
Right. But we cut back the amount of hours.
Yeah.
We're going to lose some of those raindrops. So in order to get back up to filling that cup up,
you got to dial it up. So just my rule of thumb is dial it up to 50%.
Okay.
And 50%. If you're in, it's 600, you're dialing it up to 900 ppfd.
Okay, so I hung around with a lot of growers and even meeting some of the growers when I was hanging out with you.
Sure.
I didn't hear about this. I know a lot of growers that don't dial up their lights when they cut back the amount of hours. And what can that result in?
Smaller buds. I mean, think about it. If I'm the flowering stages where I want just my plants just flexing, getting that the most amount of energy, just not slowing down one bit. So if all of a sudden I am at, 2/3 or a half of the light that I was getting in a 24-hour period, man, that is not going to tell me to just start getting crazy, to beef up. It's going to tell me, all right, man, stay alive for a little bit more. Maybe don't forget, these things the plant is trying to stay alive to attract pollen to make a seed.
Okay. So I think turning up my lights 50%. I know the first time that you did this, it went horribly wrong. What did we do wrong?
You have to dial it up slow. I will say that. I burnt the hell out of my plants. I know Dr. Bugbee says, hey, man, you can dial these up. Cannabis can take as much light as you want to give it. Man, I dial them up slowly. It takes me about 2-3 weeks in order to get them up to that ppfd because I burnt my plants. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but
so you just did it a little bit each day.
Bit at a time, man. I just enough. I go to the dial on the LED light. Mine don't have a click on them, but I just try to turn it up maybe 5% a day,
and then until you reach that 50% increase.
Yep. So 600 becomes 900 ppfd.
And so you're just measuring your ppfd at your canopy level each day until you get there?
Yep, absolutely. And evaluating the plants. Got to make sure they're happy.
All right, specifically right now, we're talking about LED lights, dimmable ones where you can actually control it.
Right.
If I have maybe an LED light that doesn't have a dimmer, or I'm using the older lights like HPS or something, would I get the same effect by lowering the lights?
Yeah, you just raise and lower them to control the intensity of it. The lights, when you have a single point of light, that light dissipates really fast. So up at the ceiling, you could have 400 ppfd, and down 12 inches away from the canopy, you could have 1100. So
And I've noticed also when I have my lights up higher towards the ceiling, I have problems with the plants growing up into the lights.
It's because they're reaching for it. There's not enough light. When there's plenty of light, they stay short and stocky. When there's not enough light, they go, oh, let me go up there and reach for it.
All right. So you can either use your dimmer and adjust your lights that way. You can lower them a little bit, adjust your PPF that way. But the overall message here is
get enough light on those plants when they're going in the flower. You don't want to diminish the amount of light. You don't want to decrease the amount of light that they had in veg. You want them to get just as much. So make sure that you have that light equal by dialing it up. Like I said, I like to go up to 50% in flower. If I'm at 600 ppfd in veg, I go up to 900 ppfd in flower.
So less light hours compensate with more light intensity.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, but that is one of my favorite lighting hacks. I love to share it. It took me 20 years to figure it out. But what about you? You give me a great lighting hack that you want to share. Let me know in the comments. And if you dug this video, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Share this video with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. I do think you'll dig them.